I've been paying attention to a lot of the talking heads on the PlayStation side. Some of them have been demanding that PlayStation show a roadmap as to what games are going to be coming in the ecosystem later down the line. Some have taken the liberty to hypothesize what games they think will be coming to the PlayStation ecosystem in the next few years. Now, here's the thing. When it's all said and done, if there are no confirmations, it's kind of hard to basically put a number or put like any expectations out there. But this is not to say that PlayStation is not developing or working with any of these titles. This is just to say that the reality is we don't know what titles they are, and we don't know where these particular or when these games are going to be coming, to gamers. However, for now, what we have is Xbox's lineup in the next few months, at least from what we know. Some are far off. I mean, I know this is a list created by a YouTuber and Twitter guy, Cole Eastwood, and it shows what's been officially announced across the board. And these are first-party studio games. Now, there's a very interesting comment that said this. This person said, pretty sure Ghost of Yotei alone will sell more than more copies as 2/3 of all these Xbox titles combined. Very interesting position to hold. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but nobody knows the future. If you had told me that PlayStation would have more than 10 live service games in development and cancel at least 3 in one weekend, I would have told you that you are crazy. So let's not go ahead and start hypothesizing anything. However, what's really interesting is the games that are actually coming out pretty soon on the Xbox side, they already seem like overall there's just more games. I mean, the factor is like 2.5x in any regard how you look at it. It's like almost 3-to-1 depending on, where you're coming from and how you're actually weighing the game. At the same time, you can see that PlayStation's own ecosystem is already taking, some of the spots are taken by 2 live service games, and Death Stranding is more than likely going to be a timed exclusive, which will then make its way to PC and an Xbox so that they can go find sales. And with the challenge of sales these days, it's very interesting how both of them are going to go ahead with the roadmap and execute on their own plans. What I think is more important right now in the whole conversation is which company is actually focused on bringing games to its own audience. The answer is very simple in this regard. It's Xbox. They already have taken these games and they already have a Game Pass strategy that's there to basically go ahead and say, if you want to follow this particular route, you can get these games. On the side of PlayStation, on the other hand, they're taking into, consideration live service to make money. Then they're going out with money having, partnerships and stuff, which some might pay off. But at the end of the day, these games usually finally capitulate because the big challenge on both PlayStation and Xbox is sales. Any of these third-party companies that look at these two, publishers, PlayStation or Xbox, and say, we want to go with one, is at risk of really hurting themselves financially on the long run. On the short term, maybe taking some benefits, taking a little bit of money, taking maybe a, higher, percentage share or whatever it is, could be sensible. But at the end of the day, you really do put a big dent in your own brand, because what happens is you create a chasm and you leave maybe another 30 plus million people out of your ecosystem that could be knowledgeable about your game and potentially lifelong customers that you could make across the board. And believe you me, now that the proposition on Xbox is strong, that many Xbox players who are staying on the console are staying, or the ones who are moving are going to PC so that they can enjoy the exact same thing. I don't necessarily think that these exclusives are going to be as effective as they were, they once were back then when, exclusives was something that seemed to be a driver in console sales. I don't think that anymore is a big driving factor. So what both platforms actually need now is to communicate to their own audiences what games are coming. Now, you're going to see the person that says, it doesn't really matter as long as you just see which game is going to be on what platform, and if you want to play it, that's all that matters. You have to understand that at the end of the day, gamers, their eyes would eventually open up, because they're going to ask themselves, why did we even buy this console? Why did we even buy this platform? And it's that kind of response and reaction that you got to see from both Xbox and PlayStation fans that has put them in a position where many of them are now moving to either PC, or maybe in some cases they'll swap platforms. But I think the likely move has been PC these past few, iterations in terms of what the console makers are doing, because they're all bringing their games to PC because everybody wants to try to get ahead. That's the reality. You spend all this money making these games, and then they're sitting there on the consoles and nobody is buying them. Take them to where people can also, already go ahead and, get some copies of them. So when you think about right now, in this particular roadmap, in this particular area, Xbox is already ahead of the game. They're already ahead of the curve. But they have to maintain a good management structure because they're not out of the water yet. PlayStation still has some games that are cooking. And if those games come out of the oven, their hardcore fans are going to basically go ahead and still buy those games and stick with their platform of choice. If Xbox is to basically be able to attract folk, they have to take things very differently. And I do know they're taking their games to these other platforms to be able to ensure that they can still keep selling and reach to those people that are out there. And it's a sound strategy, but it has to be very well managed and very well executed at the end of the day. But let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about the roadmap so far? What do you think about PlayStation's roadmap? Do you think PlayStation players have requested, enough to get a sense of where their publisher or their platform of choice is going within, single player games and what their own, gaming, future will look like? Talk to me in the comment section. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.